I'm doing very, very well, man. How cool was the weekend, eh?
I just want to go back to bed. I'm so tired. It was a great
Yeah.
weekend. I'm not used to being in a room for 2 days talking and filming and
Jeez. But that was a
oh,
cool thing about it. It reminded me of the good old days, being on a 2 day workshop. So I'm really excited. Aspiring guys that want to come around and develop and build. And Mark Berman blew us away. I mean, the knowledge
yeah.
he had. And I think, Dave, based on this last weekend, we're talking a 3 day weekend now, aren't we?
Yeah, we either need to do a 3 day weekend or two-day weekends back to back because
Mm.
there's so much content and there's so many things that we didn't get to talk about and
I
yeah,
know.
we just want to expand it and grow that up that development workshop. It was really fun. So for those of you guys who were there, thank you for joining us. It was real fun.
Yeah.
For those who missed out, sucks to be you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's just the common mistakes that people in the room had already made. So whether you want to learn how to develop, small little one bed flats or cottage or a high rise building, the principles are still the same. What you got to check for when you get into it is still the same. So, yeah, see, I was buzzing after this weekend, but like you, Dave, also a bit tired, but super excited about the week and what's coming. So obviously, as you can see here, Dave, I'm at the Tal Africa showroom in Greenstone. We've got an awesome meeting happening in the boardroom. It's like my second office. So Tal Africa is one of our partners at the SA Property Investors Network. They're also backing the Investor of the Year. So thank you for the venue, Tal Africa. And if you just joined Dave and myself, this is the Dave and Andrew Coffee Chat at 1 o'clock every Monday, where we just talk property, what's going on in and around our property portfolios, what's happening in your property portfolios. If you need us to connect you to anyone, tag a friend in if you think they're interested in property. And then Dave will take you through what events are happening this week, just to keep you guys up to speed with where we are and what is happening. And if there's any new topics, let us know in the comments box.
Yeah, 100% true. So let me get into the events. While I do that, guys, make sure you send us through some questions. The more questions you send us, the longer Andrew and I will hang around for. Um, but this week is pretty good and easy. As always, guys, it's Monday, 1 o'clock. Andrew and I do our coffee chats every week. We're here talking to you guys, answering your questions. Tomorrow, Andrew, you're doing a free webinar. So there's a free webinar with Andrew running tomorrow night. I believe it's not here from 6 o'clock. Andrew, you'll be talking about the 7 steps when investing in property. So it's really a webinar for the beginners, the guys who want to get involved in property. They're just starting out. They're curious. They kind of want to see what's happening. So they can join you guys. They can join you for that one. I'll drop a link in the chat box for
Yeah,
everyone.
and I think Dave, I definitely cover a lot of the fundamentals. High level numbers. Running numbers, what to think about creative finance structures. I actually cover a hell of a lot. It will be a live event, and as Dave said, it's free. So it may be that you want to recap your knowledge, or it could be that you are fairly new to property and you want to understand what you need to think about when you get into property here in South Africa. That's 6 till 7, eh, Dave?
100%. So that's 6 till 7. I'll just post the link to the page. Well, we say 6 till 7 until Andrew stops talking.
So it's about
See
six
how
to
then
eight,
that
probably.
probably 6 to 8. You've
Yeah,
definitely run a little longer than that in the past as well. I'm just going to share a link over
exactly.
here. You guys can take a look at all our upcoming events and all the registration details, everything over there on that link I just shared.
And Dave,
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think I need a haircut. What do you think? My hair's looking a bit long. Was it just my camera?
You might need a little, not nearly as much as I do. I definitely need to get a beard cut before,
Yeah, I
before
think the
you need
McGlash needs a bit of a cut. Who thinks that the McGlash needs a haircut on the beard, guys? A beard cut. Let us know in the comments box.
It's good. And then Wednesday we got Brokerage Breakfast. The brokerage guys will be sitting down with everyone who wants to be involved, talking about what deals are on the table at the moment, just networking a little bit as well, getting everyone used to each other, talking to each other, sharing deals. The brokerage is really there to help facilitate you guys doing deals together, which is really fun.
Yeah, and it'll be
Uh,
awesome, man.
100%, it's going to be a good fun one. Thursday night, Andrew and I are doing the mastermind from about 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock for intermediate and professional members only. You guys will get an invite, or you should have received your invite by email already. To just join us on the mastermind, talk to us. We'll be talking to you about what your goals are, what you're working on, where you're busy, where you're stuck. We'll get a couple of experts on to help talk through things. And the
Yeah.
goal of the mastermind is really hold you guys accountable and also just remove whatever's stopping you. If you got
Yeah.
something blocking you, we want to get rid of that.
So if you're a professional member with the SA Property Investors Network, you are invited. If you don't have the invitation, just drop support at sapropertynetwork.com. And like Dave said, it's accountability, goal setting. Some of you are getting stuck with finance, stuck with ideas, stuck with motivation. Just join Dave, myself, and the team, and let us help you move forward. But you need to be a professional member with the SA Property Investors Network. Is anything happening on Saturday, Dave, or not?
There's a few things happening on Saturday, nothing huge. We've got group coaching, so I think that's their fifth out of six sessions that they have
Cool.
on the 30th. And then there is a property buying experience over the weekend as well. Do you maybe talk about what the property buying experience is, who should be
Yeah.
joining them?
So the property buying experience are for investors who are ready to buy. So you're in a buying position where you've got affordability, you've got access to finance, and you're just not quite sure what type of deal to go look for or what type of deal to buy. The buying experience is a day where you go view live deals on the market. But also, what the team will do is show you a few properties that are busy being refurbished and have been refurbished. So if you go look at a typical I'll give you an example: a 3-4 bedroom here in Edenvale, and it's a traditional family house, and you want to see what it looks like after it's been converted. The team will take you to projects that are already done, so you can see the before, the during, and the after. But it's mainly designed for investors who are like, you know what, Andrew and the team, I am ready to invest. I have got affordability, or I can raise the finance. Please, can you take me out and show me the type of deals that you guys are doing? And sometimes what happens, Dave, is there's deals that are available, and people do deals on the day, because it's one thing sitting on webinars all the time and chatting about deals versus actually getting out there and doing deals on the ground.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so good to, I think for a lot of people, especially the aspirational guys who want to get into property investing, it's very hard to see what an investment grade property looks like in your head and how you can change the layout to get a multi-let, that sort of stuff. And until you're on site looking at a property or a deal that's already been done or a deal that's in the middle of refurb, until you're on the ground with someone who's done what you want to do, it's very hard to put the pieces together inside your head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a fun day, of course, as well, because you're out. Dave, I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but is it here in the East Rand again? Do you know?
I can double check the notes. I
I'm sure
don't,
they said it's in the
I,
East Rand, but I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah, I don't
We'll
have that
find.
information in front of me.
We'll find if it is in the East Rand, Dave. They'll be coming out to South Africa. Start
Yeah,
the day off here, and then Nick and the team will take you around, which is cool. So yeah, there's
yeah.
actually quite a few events in there. They have Tuesday night the fundamentals, breakfast on Wednesday morning, Thursdays the mastermind, professional members, and Saturdays the buying experience.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's nothing big, no major networking events, but still quite a lot happening. I realized it was
Yeah,
a busy week.
yeah, and we got the big one coming, Dave, Investor of the Year. Um,
Yeah,
And we should talk about that. We announced finalists, eh? So we've got 12 finalists now for Investor of the Year. I think there's a few seats left. If you want to join Dave, myself, the full team, it's the 18th of November at the Marriott Hotel, Black Tie Red Carpet event. And it's a really, really exclusive, awesome event where we got 12 finalists. So people are flying in from Durban, they're flying in from East London, they're flying in from Cape Town, and the rest will be around here in the Gauteng Middleburg area. So make sure you choose who you want to win in a specific category, get behind them, vote for them, and be part of the great initiative. So that's going to be our flagship, our best event of 2021. I can't wait for it. Um,
100%. Maybe just give them some shout outs. In the beginner category, we've got Emma and Tom from Durban. We've got Nomakosi, who's in Joburg. We've got Neil Peterson from Cape Town. So the beginner category, really powerful group of guys who've done their first
yeah,
deal, overcame that challenge. We've got big leagues. We've got Lazola from East London. We've got Molalo from Joburg. And those are really the guys who've taken their portfolio from like normal investing into developments, large commercial buildings, really stepped it up into the next section. In the
yeah,
innovative category, we got two Cape Townians. Yes. We've got Andre Kricher and Ridwan Bassa. Again, the innovative category is by guys who are doing things that aren't normal, that are being creative, finding new ways to find and secure properties to give really good returns, that sort of stuff. So really excited for that one. Drew, your favorite categories: Investor for Change. We got
Yeah.
Darren from Cape Town and Zamakule. What is it? What is the criteria that we use on Investor for the Change? Investor for Change
Yeah,
judging.
so social change and investor for change is all about making a difference in their township, in a community, in an area. Where you're uplifting it and you're creating jobs. So Darren Francis from Mitchell Plain, in those areas, went and did 6 flips. But when it came to renovating the properties, he made sure he used people in the community. He helped people go buy paintbrushes, and he just helped and he employed people through the process of buying the 6. And Zamba from Middleburg did a multi-let for doctors. So he's got don't ask me what they call Dave. I think it's physiotherapists. There's a doctor there. There's 6 or 7 different types of medical people in a
Yeah.
community. But again, use the community to help renovate the property, created jobs through a portion of the profit. He gives food parcels, and he's making a difference in the community. So Darren Francis from Cape Town is up again somewhere from Middleburg, which is really cool. And then you got most growth, eh? And there's 3 contestants for most growth. Larato, who's a town planner. Jan Joburg, she made most growth category 2 years ago. But unfortunately, it was an accident on the way and couldn't make it. But so she's back. And then you've got Ben. Young Ben, he's 25, did about 6 deals in the last year. He's just flying. He's got the confidence, he's got the know-how, he's got the network. And the third person is Terren. So Terren was very slow in the beginning, like took him a long time. But then Terren found his feet and he's just buying building after building. So there's 12 really awesome different investors, different backgrounds, different ages, different experiences, all coming together in one room to see who the investor of the year is. And Dave, I actually have no idea who could take it. You know that I think it's a complete open field at the moment.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about it over the weekend. There's a few categories where I feel like I know who's going to take the category. And some really stiff competition in some of the categories. But then when it comes to the actual final Invest of the Year award, it's like I said, it's a complete wild card. It could go to anyone. So it's going to be really exciting.
Exciting stuff, eh? Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and he's joined us there because obviously I'm on my phone now and I can't see he's joined us from Facebook. So are there any new names or regulars on there?
Yeah, let's do some greeting. Yaku Roots is here as always. Good to have you on, Yaku. We got Papele, also one of our regulars, Danica and Douglas Cap, also regulars, Kerry from Evernest. We got Ralph on, so a bunch of the regulars, and Tasane from Igetaroom is here, and that looks like Tembisa. Welcome, Tembis from Pumalanga. Good to have you all on.
Okay, cool, man. Are there any questions from anyone? Because if they want to post some questions on there, I was actually messaging in Sunny this morning. So in Sunny, we must chat about gets a room. I was on the phone to Tough 21, talking about getting into townships and preferential. Actually, Dave, I didn't know this. Preferential already have clients with properties in Soweto and a few of the townships, which is great because getting into townships is definitely on our agenda for 2022. Tough are there. Get to room at Sunny, you are there. And we want to bring education and support to those specific areas. So I really do want to focus on those areas in 2022. And then, yeah, I mean, Dave, I was with you last week. You flew up, went on Thursday, and you and I went to that guest house on Friday. So I'll show you,
Yeah.
Dave, a guest house that we've offered on. We're just going to see what the refurb is. But the great thing about this guest house, guys, is first of all, there's a lot of guest houses on the market, a lot. And the great thing with this specific one is we can get a training facility out of it. We can get an office for our own business out of it. We can get Airbnb units out of it, and we can get long-term rentals. And it's central. So location is key with it. A few of my students have put offers out on guest houses on installment sale agreements. You'll be surprised as to how many owners are open to installment sale agreements. But just be careful that when you get into guest houses. For me personally, Dave, I don't want to do a guest house where I've got to provide breakfast and I've got to provide dinner and the old school way of doing it. I want to find a guest house that's central, that I can run Airbnb, a mixture between Airbnb and long-term rentals, where I can automate 90% of it and maybe have someone living on site just to do the rest. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at what we're doing over here with this deal, at least what our plans are, like it's pretty much the only way I do it. we're going to put some office space in there, maybe a bit of a venue that we can use, but also we can lease it out to companies, and then some Airbnb at the back. There's already 8 units over there ready for Airbnb. They'll need a bit of a TLC, but that's the goal, and we build it in a way that it's automated and easy, and processes are there. And I guess that's what a lot of my work's going to be once we're finished
Yeah.
buying and building, is that I'm going to get involved and make sure that we know how to run this thing and it runs itself. Yeah, you need
Yeah.
groundskeepers, someone to just keep the place clean, and that's it. And the rest of it should be fully automated, and we don't have to think about, okay, how do book guests in and out, that sort of stuff. I don't want to, like you say, I don't want to find someone to wake up early and make breakfast and
No.
no,
And then there's
no,
health and safety issues, and the eggs aren't cooked well enough. No, not for me.
no. I'm good, thanks.
So I don't know if Jean Paul's on, but I mean, I keep mentioning his name, but I mention his name because he's taking action, and you're talking about a deal on Saturday night at the networking, where on Friday night he viewed a property in Bedford View where it's a guest house. No, it's not a guest house. It's a traditional house where the rent's for 60,000 gross. It's a massive house. But he's agreed an installment sale agreement for 18,000 Rand a month for 5 years. So imagine 18 grand, yes, his rates and taxes and general expenses, but of the 60K gross income, it's a cha-ching. Yes, there's transfer duty he's got to pay within 3 months of lodging the ASA, but there's no bond attorney fees up front, and there's no transfer fees up front. There's just attorney fees to do the installment sale agreement. So I'm seeing, Dave, within our network and within our students, I'm seeing more and more investors doing installment sale agreements. If you don't know what you're talking about, if you join me tomorrow night, Tuesday night, I will be touching on installment sale agreements.
100%. Let me just put a link again for tomorrow night.
At 6 o'clock, because I think, Dave, it's a strategy that a lot of investors need to understand, because the more tools you have in your toolbox, right? And there's 8 weeks between now and Christmas. There's 8 weeks, so use these 8 weeks to get a deal under your belt, or get your second or third deal under your belt. And remember, the more options you have, and the more choices you have, when you're talking directly to private sellers or agents, when you find out why the seller is selling, what the pain is, you can help them. And sometimes installment sale agreements is a very easy tool. And yes, some agents say it can't be done. And yes, some sellers will say no, but you'll be surprised if you put enough offers out there. There's a lot of investors and or sellers and agents that are open to it, especially if you say to the agent, I will pay your com up front, or the seller will pay your com up front. So just make sure you understand how that works.
100%. Cool. Drew, I think there's one question so far from Yaku. We can talk about that real quick, and if there's any other questions, we can hit those. But for now, Yaku is saying that he's asking if we find the bond origination process fairly slow recently, struggling to get quick turnaround regardless of working directly with the bank or a bond originator. So I'm guessing the banks are either very busy or something. So from what I'm aware of at the moment, and I haven't applied for a bond in the recent history, so it's been a while. But I know for the banks, I know for the fact the Reserve Bank released a lot of capital for the banks. So you got to remember the banks sort of work like they're a shop at the end of the day. They get debt, they can lend out. So there's times like now where they've got a lot of debt to lend and share and get sold out, and that's what they need to work on. So there's probably a fairly large backlog. I know with all the obviously interest rates being where they are, the applications are probably relatively high. But from having spoken to my students, I haven't seen significant delays. I know for a fact Uber's average turnaround, I think we had them on the event a couple of weeks ago. Their average approval timeframes are around 3 weeks at the moment. So that's relatively decent to get full approval. Through your
Yeah.
side, what have you seen?
Yeah, I think similar. I think the answer is yes and no. And the reason I say that is through Uber, there's been a couple situations recently with Uber where the application's gone through very quick. And we've had a few cases with other originators. And Yako, yes, some people going direct to bank thinking it's quicker. And yeah, it's been very slow. So I've seen both experiences. I guess when you use someone like Uber, who have got some clout with the bank, the originator only gets paid if he or she gets the deal through. Whereas you could be dealing someone with the bank. Look, if it's someone that you got a relationship with, a different story, but it could be someone that just some individual at the bank don't really care. And if it's going to take a long time, who cares? Whereas just my recent experience with bond with Uber has been a positive experience, and they've been getting bonds through fairly quick. Dave, like you said, I'd say within 3 weeks. Because remember, if you're buying in your personal capacity and you put an application forward and you've ticked all the boxes, literally the computer, not a human, a computer will say yes or no. And it can be very quick. Whereas if you're buying through a company, it automatically becomes a manual process. And you've got to ensure that the bond originator or you dealing with direct with the bank, that you've submitted all the paperwork. Because what happens is, if you leave out one document, so it takes a week or two to get through our person, and there's one document, guess what, Jaco? They take your whole application, it goes to the bottom of the pile, and they send it back to you. So you've got to make sure that when you are applying for a bond, if you are going through a company, that you just before you submit it, double check that you have all the documents in the right order with all the right signatures and all the right dates.
100%. I'm gonna quickly see if I can't find the Uber stats that I have off the top of my head. But while we do that, Yvonne's got a question in the Drew, maybe you can handle. Do you use property management company? If so, what are the criteria that you look for in the company, and how do they structure their fees?
Yeah, sure. So, Yvonne, answer is yes. I don't like to self manage. And I think the reason for that is I've got other things to focus on. So, yes, I want to purchase properties and I do want to use a professional manager. There's two different types, though, Yvonne. You get your full management, your Remaxes, your Just Properties, your Chaz Everett's, that'll take your property and they'll do full management. So, they'll probably charge you 8 or 10% of the monthly rental. They will do things like charge you 8-10% to put a tenant in. And you expect them to vet the tenant, do the credit checks. You expect them to do regular inspections, to handle the deposits, to handle the rent. Yvonne, they do everything for you. The only risk with that, where landlords, where you and I go wrong, Yvonne, is where we don't keep our finger on the pulse and we just hope and pray that they're going to do full management and look after the asset. What I like is the middle ground. So I've started using, as you probably already know, Yvonne, is preferential. Why? Because it comes with a tech-based platform that takes care of my rental deposits, the rentals. It takes care of advertising the property and putting on all the portals. It takes care of if there's any disputes. But Yvonne, what it does is I will still do the viewings with the tenants because I do want to get a sense of who's going to be renting my property. I still want to check in on the inspections. So I definitely want to ensure that I've still got my finger in the pulse. That doesn't take a long time to do. So I like the hybrid of using a management company like Preferential that's got the tech and it takes out the financial risk. So if I was looking at a property management business and they were doing full management, I'd want to know, are they with TPN as an example? How often do they do inspections? Is there a charge up front for finding a tenant? And is there then a charge for managing the property? Oh, is there a separate charge for inspection? So, Yvonne, you want to look at all the hidden costs that often come with full management to look at the real cost of it because sometimes it's not 8%, it ends up being like 15%. And that is why we're finding more and more South Africans are starting to steer more towards preferential because from a return on investment point of view, it's a lot less cheaper, but it comes with actually less risk because of what's called the preferential promise, which is up to 4 months of your rent being paid if the tenant doesn't pay. But again, Yvonne, you want to know if it's a small estate agent, how long have they been around? Do they have their Fidelity Fund certificate? People think estate agents are the only ones that need to have it. No, your letting agents need to be certified with the Estate Agent Affairs Board. How many properties do they have? Is it a one-man band or a four-man band? How many people actually work in that letting agency? Try and get a gauge for, because if they've got 200 properties and it's a one-man band, there's no way they're going to find tenants, deal with maintenance, deal with refurbs, deal with the rear, send invoices out. Oh, and by the way, Yvonne, they use spreadsheets to track it all. That's a no-go. And I mean, Dave, this is actually a section you and I have when we go back to 2-day workshops. We talk like a half an hour on how to manage your property, right?
100%. Yeah, and yeah, I just want to sort of add to what Drew said. At the end of the day, there's that sort of scale of, sorry, frame. This side is like you manage it yourself, and this side you get a managing agent to handle everything for you. And preferential really does fit nice into the middle, so you can still know who your tenants are. You can still have a relationship with your tenants, but that admin headache is sort of taken away. Plus, there's risk protection and all of that. And at the end of the day, that's what you need to do is find how do you like to manage it. And most of the investors I've ended up working with, and I know from experience, generally want to be somewhere in the middle, even if it's not them personally. Like Andrew's not necessarily the person speaking to his tenants in the UK, but he's got the person who does it for him. So you need to have that sort of balance of control, but also making sure the systems and processes are there to protect you, protect your time. That's really important.
Definitely, yeah. Cool, Yvonne. Yeah, just check them out, Dave. Maybe send Yvonne that link. Speak to
Yep.
someone
Thanks
called
in the chat.
Iman. Yvonne, just ask for Iman and ask for the full breakdown. There is a team behind the tech, by the way, Yvonne. It's not just tech. There's actually a team because when it comes to lettings, there's only so much we can automate. So there is a team behind Preferential that do assist and work with you managing your properties. I see there's another question there, Dave, about flats
Yep.
or something.
Yeah, it's cool. Let me go through the questions. Yaku is asking, what's our view on general liability insurance to protect from claims from tenants? So Yaku, I've got third-party liability insurance for myself and my businesses just for general protection. But when it comes to tenants specifically, it's not something I worry about. My leases are very clear on who's responsible for what. If they trip and fall down the stairs, that's generally a body corporate problem, not mine. If they bang their toe inside the flat, it's their flat, it's their use. Their because of the way that ownership works, they essentially get sole rights to use their property, which means they also get the liability for hurting themselves in that property. So it's not something I've been concerned about in the past. Drew, your side?
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same as you, eh? And I think if you are concerned, we do work with someone here in Joburg, Dave, that Jaco could speak to if he was concerned. But I'm the same as you with my lease agreements and stuff. And that's a good question for one of our insurance brokers, Jaco. Have that
Yep.
conversation. I've got your WhatsApp, Jaco, so I'll actually send you details after this.
Yeah. I think the only edge case is a multi-let property. Make sure your fire safety is good. If you're not up to speed with fire safety, then you as the owner could be held responsible. Um, and Andrew's gone, so we'll get Andrew back eventually. That's not a problem. So yeah, I think in South Africa, we generally take security is more important than fire safety. So that's one of those things you need to be concerned about. So make sure that if you do a multi-tenant property or just a normal buy-to-let, make sure that you have a think about fire safety and not just security. So Andrew will come back to that one. We're talking to Desmond over here. When buying a freehold block of flats, the banks consider a 20-year bond. Secondly, is it advisable to change ownership of the holding company? What would the requisite due diligence be? So when you're talking about buying big buildings, you generally change the way that you're valuing those businesses. So we generally talk about going concern as the methodology to value those businesses. You'll have to change the ownership of the holding company because that's how you'll buy that property. Is you'll essentially buy the shares and the control out of those properties. So you have to do that. Make sure that when you do that, you're working with a business broker. There's indemnities, there's warranties, there's guarantees that need to go in place when you're buying the going concern, when you're buying the business holding the properties. And the banks probably won't give you a 20-year bond because you're going to commercial finance sector. 15 years tends to be the better that you get, but you tend to generally get more around the 10 years. So go and speak to someone like Tough around how they work with financing. I'll quickly grab the link. Tough is one of our preferred partners when it comes to getting into the commercial sector, getting into the larger deals. Sorry, let me just quickly find the link for them. This is why it's nice when Andrew's on because I can't multitask to save my life. So there's the link for Tough. Chat to them about how this can work. It doesn't look like my link posting is working anymore. I'll fix it in a second. Um, but speak to them about how their financing works on buying buildings. At the end of the day, the due diligence that goes in is really intense. If you drop me an email to support at sapropertynetwork.com, I can give you my list of information that I need when I look at commercial businesses. It's not a small thing. You're not just buying bricks and mortar, you're buying a business, you're buying the obligations of that business, you're buying the debts of that business, and you're buying any risk associated with that. So buying a building is not for the faint of heart. If it's your first deal, you really need to go at it professionally and get the right team on side. So don't try to do it through an estate agent. That's part of my advice. Estate agents don't know how commercial valuations always work, how business valuations always work. Make sure you're working with a business broker, with a commercial property broker, and with someone who's in the commercial finance sector to make sure that you're covered up, and then get an accountant to cover up further to make sure that the business is properly assessed, valued, and you've got all the boxes checked. Welcome back, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, man. You know what happened? My bloody
Uh,
iPhone overheated. I've never had that one before. It's like, what the hell? How's my iPhone
Uh,
overheated?
just hashtag Apple problems, Drew. It's fine.
Hey, Apple, Apple, Apple. I took my iPad in yesterday to get fixed. And did anyone know this? Just to warn you, if you've got an Apple iPad, you cannot get an Apple iPad repaired. So I got someone else to repair it for me, like 3,000 rand down the line. And now I've got to throw this iPad away because Apple refused to do anything. Bloody hell.
Yep,
Maybe I should
that's
switch to
how this
Windows.
works.
Anyways. Well, the
Not gonna
question's
say
good.
anything. Question's good. I just asked Desmond's question about buying a block of flats. Yvonne's saying thank you for that. We'll look up referential. Yvonne, I'm just getting back on Facebook now because our platform that we use for managing the chat isn't posting. But I'll quickly head over there and share the links for you. But yeah, Drew, I think we've answered most of the questions.
Awesome. Yeah, maybe just a recap of the week here, guys. It's actually going to be quite a busy week. I didn't realize, but there's some really cool events if you want to join us and just see what's happening. And then that's going to take us, what's the date? The 25th. So that's going to take us to November next month. Next week. Next week is November. It's crazy.
Yep, next week is November.
Yeah.
We are 20 and a bit days from Investor Awards. It's going fast.
Christmas decorations are going to come out. Get your Christmas trees out, Dave. I'm going to get your Christmas tree, Dave. And I'm going to get you music and tinsel and everything.
So what Drew is just doing is spending money and giving me a nice big bonfire.
Pretty much, everyone. We'll say happy Christmas to Dave. That's close. It's 8 weeks.
Yeah, you can tell Andrew's a dad. He knows it's 8 weeks away.
Yeah. The kids are getting excited, which is cool. And hopefully we can close a deal or two, Dave, before Christmas, which will be lekker.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So yeah, let me quickly go through the events again, Drew. I'm not seeing any other questions, so it'll be good to just get into those. High level, let me just quickly grab the link again. So tomorrow night, Andrew will be doing a webinar on the property fundamentals. So for the guys who are aspirational, want to get started, a couple of the questions that we spoke about here today, we'll cover briefly tomorrow night. So it'll be really good. There's the link over there to that webinar. Wednesday, the brokerage team are running a breakfast from 8 until 10 up in Joburg. So if you're receiving those emails, it'll be good fun. It's always nice to join those. Thursday night, Andrew are running a mastermind for our professional members. Again, it's a really important opportunity for you guys to ask us questions that we can hold you accountable, see what your goals are, see what you're working on, see what you're doing, and we can really make sure that you're moving forward and there's nothing holding you back. And then the weekend, there's property buying experience and some group coaching. Property buying experience, again, up in Joburg. We think it's up on the East Rand. A really exciting opportunity for you guys to go view some real live deals. If you're just getting started in property investing, you're not sure how it all looks, how it works. Again, it's another opportunity for you guys to learn how we're doing this, what we're doing, and feels real because it's a real live deal. Cool, Drew.
Awesome.
We're done.
Yeah, no, sounds good. I think we're done for the week. There's lots for us to get through. If you want to join the events, join us on the events. If you need support, just drop us an email. If you want to join the SA Property Investors Network, please speak to Alani and join the network and get there doing deals. And I'll see some of you at some of the events,
100%. As always, my sign off over here, guys. If you have any questions, any problems, email support at sapropertynetwork.com. We're happy to help you answer your questions, move you forward, or point you in the right direction. And yeah, we'll be back same time, same place, Monday, 1 o'clock every week. Andrew and I do these quick coffee chats to answer your questions. So if you've got someone who has a question, they're stuck buying their first home, whatever it is, send them our way. Monday, we'll answer their questions as best as we can.
Cool. Sounds good. I love it. See you all next week.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Dave.